Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:36. Today's date is June 18th. Welcome to the Amityville Union Free School District Board of Education meeting. At this point in time, present at the meeting is myself, President Lisa Johnson, our Superintendent, Dr. Talbert, First Vice President Carol Siegel, Trustees Leslie Quest and Caroline Fanning. It is anticipated that Trustees Juan Leon and Winnie Canestro, as well as Second Vice President Megan Nesson, will be arriving into executive session once we go into that session. Also present is our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Ms. Mary Stevens, our Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Dr. Richard Waite, and also present at this time is our legal counsel, John Shealy. And at this time, also Winnie Canestro just walked in. Can I have a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of advice from legal counsel and particular persons' employment history? Motion. Second. That's, I think Leslie Quetz I heard first.
No, not me.
Okay, Carol Sewell, sorry. Winnie Canestro, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Zoom open roughly around 7:30. Thank you for joining us for the open session.
Disgraceful. The thickness of the venom towards her was so apparent. It's not supposed to be personal. It's supposed to be professional. This is a professional forum that is for children. I have been a member of this community for 20 years. Everything that you do here is about the child. Trying to take away the third year of training teachers, a $500 per teacher based on the discretion of the principal, is an atrocity, because strong schools are based on strong leaders that are based on strong teachers that make students success. And that's what we want, to see students succeed. The animosity to put somebody on point the way she was put tonight, to have to stand and defend herself. And I too commend you for standing and commending and defending yourself, Dr. Talbert, because you should. Too many times we allow people to do things that step on us, that malign us, and it has nothing to do with children. This is not supposed to be about politics. This is supposed to be about learning. And there are members that I watched, not only tonight, who are not here for the right reason. And you need to leave and put people who are for the children and the community, and giving the community an opportunity. And while, yes, you do have the right to say that the community does not have to speak, but if you look at New York State Association for School Boards, they say inclusiveness and transparency builds community. Strong communities, strong schools. Thank you.
Jacqueline Cruz Stevenson. So I'm going to start with 4410 updates, Dr. Talbert.
Good evening, Ms. Stevenson.
Good evening.
We do have somewhat of an update for you. Ms. Stevenson, would you like to share that?
We've been working with the state on the 4410 application, but because our vacant rooms have shifted to another building, we do have to do amendments to our original application. So that's the status right now, that we're working on the amendment for the Northwest building.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say, I know the school year's ending, you're starting to think about, plans for next year. I just wanted to mention, Dr. Talbert, and I think you already know, I enjoyed the community connections meetings that you had, about 6 to 7 of them. And I hope that you're able to continue them. I will definitely try my best to be there, and I will also try to get more people to come. I was disappointed in the fact that more people didn't come to those meetings, and I appreciate them. Um, there was a resolution brought up at the last meeting regarding forming a gifted and talented program, which I think is going to be excellent. And I caught the last part of your presentation where you said you're going to be looking into that. The resolution stated grades 3 through 6, which is great, a great start, but I would ask that you consider earlier grades for a talented and gifted program. I remember when I was in school, they formed, it was called TAG, Talented and Gifted, and I want to say it was in first or second grade. So please don't forget about the, kindergarten first and second graders who are also deserving of a talented and gifted program. I wanted to mention about the policy committee. I know it's not really, the public is not allowed to speak, but I do, Madam President, I do attend on Zoom, and I appreciate the effort that the policy committee has put forth this year. I've learned a lot from just listening to you go through the various policies. I know it's been a lot of work for, I think it's the three of you, Trustee Chris, Trustee Canestro, and yourself. And I hope that those efforts will continue next school year. And oh, the last thing I wanted to mention, a lot of times when I talk to parents or in various community meetings, the question is, why don't more parents show up? Why doesn't the community come out to meetings? And I wanted to know, have you ever put out a poll? I know you've done polls throughout the school year. Have you ever put out a poll asking parents, what is the reason that you're not able to attend? And if not, could you possibly consider doing that in the future?
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
Hello, Chris Nearing. Just want to point out perhaps the information that you were looking for from the business official might have been more forthcoming if he was not terminated publicly in his last meeting. And the transportation committee that was voted down last week, there was just a lot of discussions this meeting about transportation. And just because we just passed that voter referendum does not necessarily mean that there's not going to be any other big hot topic, because it is one of the largest budget items on a year-to-year basis. And was any of the discussion, maybe council can weigh in on this, earlier, of the meetings that was happening for the
You have to give it to
attorney
me.
interviews?
You have to give it to me.
Okay. The attorney interviews, when stuff was spoken about that happened during executive session, is that a violation of executive session itself?
I think it was sort of in the, I don't think there was anything that was detailed in that discussion. I think it was probably within the purview, but I'll talk to legal
Okay.
about it afterwards. So, but no, go ahead.
Right, but not like specific people's actions at the meetings?
Yeah, so I'll talk to legal about it, but I don't think
Okay.
so.
And the superintendent responsibility resolution. I find I don't understand why we're expecting any employee, salary or hourly, to give a weekly availability outside of their normal work schedule, to just say, hey, I'm available, you can fill up my schedule here. Like, that seems like a complete overreach. I'm sure there's many other people here that work on a salary basis that don't have to provide a weekly availability report of when I have nothing scheduled. It just seems like it's completely unnecessary and a far overreach that seems beyond any employer's responsibility. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Hey, how are you? Sorry, I haven't been around in a while. Been busy. I gotta say, this is the first meeting in my entire school life being,
You just have to
Involved?
give your name.
oh, Debbie McClellan, sorry,
Thank you.
Amityville.
I know it, but yeah.
This is the only meeting I've ever been to in 25 years where a resolution to appoint the lawyer received public response. I thought that was simply amazing. I just had to say that. Don't know why, but okay. I just wanted to take a moment tonight just to show a little appreciation. But you did bring up the pouches earlier. I just wanted to kind of remember with you maybe. I remember Dr. Boazzi, not this school year, the prior school year, they were purchased, and she stated so at a meeting. And the board was quite astonished that that took place. So you may want to look into that.
They were returned. They were returned.
Oh, okay, you didn't mention that. Okay, they were returned. Fine. Thank you. Okay, I would like to take this time to express appreciation and gratitude to Wendy Canestro, who is completing her elected term on June 30th. I want to acknowledge that her time here on the board was meaningful, transformative, and has opened the eyes of many Amityville residents. She campaigned for change, meaningful change, not just changing who sits in a seat, but change that has addressed the mountain of problems that Amityville was facing. Her experience and her service on 2 other school boards, her prior leadership roles, and as a NISBA trainer, that's the New York State School Boards, was a welcomed bonus. Wendy did not need to watch and learn and listen. Amityville was at a pivotal point at the time of last year's election, a forensic management and controls. And the staff and the students were paying the price, which I wish everybody would remember. With every dollar lost, it's out of the students and the teachers. Despite the opposition to her campaign and the continued undermining of most of what she did not waver. If you were listening this school year, truly listening, every question, statement, opinion she gave tied directly back to the students or the budget. We learned new info at every meeting because of what she brought to the table. Her votes were not thrown away, blind or unearned. She was modeling the role of a school board member. And the public must understand that this is a deliberative process. And this was missing in Amityville. And I'm so glad to see all trustees talking, and we understand how you arrived at your vote. That was non-existent. So I wanted to thank Ms. Cadestro for doing that. You raised the bar and expectations, and you're leaving the board in a position of strength. Trustees Messman and Fanning followed your lead and started their first year right out of the gate. The depth of the questions has again allowed the public to witness the process of local control on the school system. I'm sure they will continue to bring daylight into the meetings. I can give many examples, and I won't because it's late.
You just have to wrap
Okay.
it up. Thank you.
But just remember, one question transformed this school year. What is our mileage? Ms. Canestro asked that. What is our mileage guideline? Could not find it, relied on the bus company to give historical data. We were providing transportation to private schools in the lower grades that weren't entitled to it, and denying our own public school students transportation because we didn't know that the youngest students were supposed to be getting a bus.
So, Ms. McCollum, you're going to have to wrap
Okay.
it up. Thank you.
So with that, money was saved also, because guess what? Every student that was transported without voter approval was money that was taken away from the students. So I want to thank you very much.
Next person.
So I am Bishop Walter Woolley, 3550 Great Neck Road, Amityville. To our esteemed president, to Madam Superintendent, to the board, to everybody here on tonight. Tonight, we have these meetings every 2 weeks, I believe, to come, to discuss, to inform, to enlighten, and trying to work out the issues of our communities. The community is made up of professionals, non-professionals, people from every walk of life to come together to speak their concern for this community. In Amityville, there's over 20,000 people in Amityville. But if you ever notice, only 10% normally vote, or less than that, which means that majority of them never know what goes on in these board meetings. But one thing for sure, praise God, every community has concern, and therefore the board must give recommendation with feedbacks from the community what's happening at these meetings. The board should consider, understand that we don't work on our feelings, but on facts. And therefore, there's two things that are considered are important. First one is respect. To have respect, you must give respect. And people in certain positions deserve respect. On your job, you respect those people on your job. In school, respect those persons that are in charge. Respect the government officials. Why can't in these meetings we respect those that are in charge, whether or not you agree with them or not? Second thing is accountability and good stewardship. The superintendent been doing that for the last couple of years. She's fair, she's reliable, she's considerate of other people. Therefore, her speech was amazing. This board, when you do things, you must consider and be carefully understanding how the community has an impact what you're doing. The board, whatever you do, should always get the feedback from the community. At the end of the day, the community gonna come together and speak their piece. Therefore, I'm the president, amen. He's the president. We honor her as president and the board members. The superintendent, she is the superintendent, doing an outstanding job. Why would you want to release a person that's doing an excellent job? That don't make no sense at all. And anything that's worthwhile, people fight for it. Therefore, I urge this board for the superintendent that let her be extended because she's doing a good job, not just for the student, but for all of us. God bless y'all.
Nakia Wolf, Amityville Teachers Association, 100 Avalon Court. Matt, you kind of took almost everything, so thank you on that. But just in terms of wrapping up sentiment, we are going into a new school year, and I'm hoping that when I can sit and listen, I can sit and I can understand where it is that many of the board members are coming from in terms of, yes, there was a need for transparency. Yes, there was a need to ask questions. That's one of the reasons why not having enough information led us to where it is that we were. But when we use transparency and when we have good points that are shrouded in sometimes contradictory statements or hypocrisy, you almost kind of lose sight of some of the positives that may have come out of those things. So, and moving forward, as you work as a board, irrespective to who ends up there, it is in your best interest to be exemplars of what leadership is. Students who sit here, people who listen at home, leadership starts from the top. And basically, whatever it is that your goals that you want to move forward with, as per your policy committee, if climate and culture are truly important, then that should start here. This has not been a reflection of a positive climate and culture. Yes, there have been some times where it is that you guys have been able to agree, and you're not always going to agree. We're not always going to agree, and that's okay. I don't really need to agree with you. All that I want is to make sure that our students are being served and our community is taken into consideration. So going forth, I hope that's something that it is that you choose to do, because we are not going to be better off while you are putting forth an example that is not reflective of your goals.
Mr. Grice, before you start, board members, can we just extend it for just like 5 minutes, so therefore the last two can speak? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Good evening again, Matt Grice, ATA Vice President. I was asked by a teacher and community member to share some words, so I would like to share with you now her thoughts. Good evening, my name is Michelle Morales-Kretz, and I'm an ENL teacher at Amityville Memorial High School. I typically refrain from doing or saying anything that might thrust me into the spotlight because I truly enjoy coming to work each day, collaborating with my colleagues, and most of all, being in the classroom with my students. But I felt compelled to speak tonight because of the recent incident at Northwest. Hearing what happened was deeply painful, not just as an educator, but as a member of this community and as a Hispanic woman. It's especially troubling in a district where most of our students are African American and Hispanic. What happened struck at the heart of what many of us work hard to protect, the safety, dignity, and inclusivity of our schools. What's most disturbing is not that someone holds a particular belief, that is their right. What's upsetting is that a space meant to celebrate children was used to send a message that could instill fear. In a district where many families are working class and often unable to attend school events due to job constraints, it's disheartening to think that parents who made the effort to show up were met with something that was, at best, insensitive and at worst, threatening. Let me be clear, there is no place in our schools for messages that alienate or intimidate. It was inappropriate, it was callous, and it was cruel. I speak tonight to give voice to those who may not feel they can speak for themselves, those who may be afraid or unsure of how to express what they felt in that moment. Our schools must be spaces of inclusion, equity, and safety. Individuals whose values do not reflect those principles should not hold positions in a district that proudly serves a predominantly minority population. I'm a proud graduate of the Amityville School District. I attended every school in this community and went on to further my education, an opportunity made possible by my parents' sacrifice and the support I received here. That journey has made me who I am today, an educator, a mother, and community member, and someone who believes deeply in the power of public education to uplift and inspire. I leave you with this: the only thing that separates any of us from an immigrant is the circumstances of our birth. Some of us were simply born on the right side of the border. That's why empathy and respect must be at the core of everything we do, especially in our schools. Our students deserve to be surrounded by an adult who cares deeply about them and who creates spaces where they can feel seen, valued, and safe. Thank you.
Hi, Margaret Schuff, Amityville. I just wanted to give you a sense of the feeling that this meeting is leaving me with, is that I never more so thought than now is that the staleness of the majority of this body is so glaring that nothing is ever going to change. I've been coming to these meetings for years now, since Dr. Vail, and nothing has changed. We're chasing the dollars, we're chasing the stats, we're chasing a decent superintendent to change the school around. Everything is so freaking stale. It stinks. Here we are. There's not a new set of eyes. We're begging for new vision. We're begging for new eyes. And here we are. You have a vote in front of us to get new eyes, and it gets panned out because we've always done it this way. Well, I can tell you right now, we've always done it this way is so ridiculous in a failing situation. And you talk about, I mean, again, this is not personal, it's business. And when I talk about needing a new fresh of eyes, yeah, your contract is not going to be extended because I can't think on one hand what major accomplishment you've even done. The stats are 60% you can't read. We've established today that 60% of the kids are not on or reading level. So
Ms. Shuff, that's not appropriate, okay? You
it's
can't.
not appropriate,
it's
but
not
we're having
appropriate to
accolades
grade.
up the storm, but I'm countering the accolades because they're just not there. And if you can count on one hand of major accomplishments that you've done for this district in the time that you're here, then yeah, all right, prove me wrong. But I can't think of one thing that you've elevated in this district the whole time you're here. And the majority of this body is so stale and so stagnant that you're never going to move forward. So you better wake up one day and figure out what improvements you can do to help these kids read, to help these kids do math, and to get all about the kids. Because all you do is just sit there and say, we always did it this way. And guess
Thank you
what?
very much,
It
Ms. Shuff.
doesn't freaking work.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 12:01, please?
Motion.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.